Hi everybody, thanks so much for clicking and for watching this video. Today I thought I would do something a little bit different. Today I thought I would take you on a little journey from the area that I live right up to Old Trafford. Today Manchester United are playing Leeds. Now we've not played Leeds in the league for 16 years, but this is a massive game. This is the renewal of the Roses rivalry. We played them in the FA Cup back in 2010, but the less said about that, the better. But yeah, this is a huge game today, and unfortunately, we as fans are not we're not allowed to go into stadiums at the moment. It seems like forever since we were allowed into stadiums. It seems an absolute age since I was last inside Old Trafford, and I'm sure a lot of fans are just really missing it at the moment. I know it's great that we get to watch it on the telly, and there's football like every other day now because they've got to fit all the fixtures in, and whereas it might have been like with European games, it was every couple of weeks. Now it's every week, or it was before this round of European fixtures, this round of the tournament concluded. So, you know, now those group stages are over, we are into the Christmas fixture period, and the games are just going to be coming thick and fast. And I just thought that it would be pretty cool to take you on this journey from where I live up to Old Trafford, because for me, it is just special, and I thought it would be nice to just share it with United fans and just football fans in general. I'm just going to explain now that the album that you're seeing on the screen is what I usually listen to. I usually listen to the Stone Roses um, when I'm sort of going to a game on my own. So if you want to you could just imagine that it's you and me walking to the game. You can maybe play that over sort of to give you that kind of atmosphere. Of course, I don't listen to it when I'm going to the game with a mate or with my dad, because I mean I won't be able to hear what they're saying. But you might want to do that just to give you that bit of match day atmosphere. So let's talk about the game today. Let's talk about Manchester United versus Leeds. They've got Ayling, Koch, Lorente. I think they've got players in there: Calvin Phillips, Jack Harrison, Pablo Hernandez. These are players. Helder Costa. They've got players in there that can cause us problems. I think that can make it difficult for us. I've been really impressed with Luke Ayling, if that's how you pronounce his second name. So this isn't like a young squad. It's a squad of workhorses, really. Helder Costa. He's not over the hill, but he's 26. So I just think they will make it difficult for us. I don't see us not scoring against them, but also don't see us stopping them from scoring as well. It's not going to be a no-score draw. This is going to be a potential banana skin for us. And the problem with us is that, as we've said countless times this season, we just don't know which Manchester United is going to turn up. Is it the United that beat Leipzig 5-0, that went to Paris and won? Is it that United? Or is it the United that only turns up for 45 minutes? Or is it the United that only turns up when they're 2 or 3-0 down? Which Manchester United team is going to step up today? And that is something that that is something that makes me nervous. Now, I don't want to hear people talking about title charges. Are we going to win the league? Even if we win this game today, I don't believe that we can go the rest of the season unbeaten. I don't believe we'll go the rest of the season without dropping points. And as good as we are offensively, defensively, there are huge problems. Now, I don't know if that comes down to defensive coaching, if that's just the setup, if it's the mindset, if the players aren't good enough. I just don't know. Because when we played Manchester City, I thought Harry Maguire had probably his best game of the season. But was that because Manchester City sat off us and both teams were really cautious and no one was really going for it, so he wasn't really under a huge amount of pressure? In a pressure situation, like, let's face it, this game is massive today. In this game, again, which Harry Maguire is going to turn up? And I'm not just talking about Harry Maguire, I'm not singling Harry Maguire out, but he has looked suspect this season. Now, going into this game, we've conceded 19 goals in the league. Liverpool have conceded 19. But, they will say, well, our best defender, the bedrock of our defence, isn't playing, and would they have conceded this many goals had he been playing? What I will say about that is, he did play in the game against Aston Villa where they shipped 7 goals. So it wasn't impossible to score against Liverpool. And actually, I can remember after they clinched the league, their defence, it wasn't great. Some people will say, well, he was changing players around and he was resting them and they just won the league. So, that's why. But they didn't have a great start to the season in terms of defence. First day of the season, they conceded 3 to Leeds. And for me, they got away with one there, that 4-3 win. And of course, shipping 7 goals to Aston Villa. So, that's 11 goals in those 2 games early in the season. So, are we as bad defensively as we think we are? I don't know. I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle. But this is a huge game for us today, and this is a game that we, for a lot of the young United fans, they won't have seen us play Leeds before. Unfortunately, I've never been to a game between these two, and this was the season that I was going to go because Leeds were back in. I live in the league, in the Premier League. I live near to the ground. I live near to Old Trafford. So this is undoubtedly one of those games that I was going to go to. I have a membership, so I apply for games and I go to as many as I can go to. Well, obviously, like, talk about the boring stuff like money. But this is a game I was really looking forward to going to. But just have to settle for watching it at home. So massive game today. But how do I think we will line up? I think De Gea will be back in goal today. I don't see him starting Henderson. He's not going to give Henderson back-to-back games. De Gea will start today. The most interesting part, I think we know, it's going to be Luke Shaw, Lindelof, Maguire, and Wan-Bissaka. I think that's a given now. That's unless he changes Luke Shaw, but I don't see him changing him on that side. So I think that is pretty settled. Goalkeeper and that back four. The question for most of us is, what will Ollie do with the midfield? What will Ollie do with our midfield? How will he set up? Will it be in the week, like in the week? against Sheffield United where he played Pogba and Matic. I'm not so sure. Again, said it before. Do I want to see Pogba playing for the club again? No. But if Ollie is going to be playing him, I want to see him performing like he has been doing the last few games. He was a bit suspect the other night. He gave the ball away a few times, and I thought his concentration. Sometimes it doesn't look like he's concentrating, so he loses out. He loses the ball, gives the ball away. But overall, the last few games since all this has come out with Raiola, he's been playing some of his best games. This has been the most consistent I've seen Paul Pogba for I'd say for a really long time, ever since his time at United, and that says a lot really, coming up to nearly 5 years at playing for the club. So will it be Pogba and Matic? I'm hoping he doesn't play Fred and McTominay. I'm a big fan of Scott McTominay, but I don't think it's the right option. It's not very dynamic. He's again, as much as I like Scott McTominay, it's not very inspiring. It's a very cautious approach when he plays Fred and McTominay in the middle. Playing two defensive midfielders is not the way I want to see us play. I'd love us to have Donny van de Beek. I'd love him to start, but again, Ollie for some reason just isn't going with him. But I did speculate the other night that I think, and I'm hoping this is true, there's no way of proving if it's true, I'm hoping that he's saving Donny van de Beek for these Christmas fixtures and the second half of the season, because the way the fixtures are going at the moment, it's a game every few days. Like when, God, I didn't even want to talk about the Champions League, but in Europe it was like a game every week rather than a game every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, because of an international break. It's every week, so the fixture schedule is more relentless than ever. So effectively, when these Christmas fixtures start, when we get to like Boxing Day and then the 28th, and a game every couple of days in the FA Cup, we've got a new player, we've got a fresh player there. So that's what I'm hoping I'm right. Because we've seen glimpses of what he can do, and I think that when he has played, he's been really good for us. He's positive. He's moving forward. He knows what he's going to do. He doesn't have to think too much about it. Some players, they're always looking around and they take a little bit too long to make up their mind with what they're going to do. He just knows, and he's come through, as I said before, the Ajax Academy, the prestigious Ajax Academy. It's not a bad player. Even if Ollie, and I don't believe it's true, but even if he didn't want to sign him, well, you've got him now, so use him. And a lot of people keep talking about titles. I don't want to hear this sort of title talk. I don't want to hear us talking about winning the league. What I would love, because I don't think we're good enough. I don't think we're good enough yet to win the league. But as I said in one of my previous videos, I just think it would be nice to be in the conversation. That would be a real sign of progress if we were in the conversation. If we got to like February, March, and we were 5 points behind, and then we've got that game in hand, then you start thinking, oh yeah, okay, well there's a chance. And if it doesn't work out, at least you can go, we had a go, and it didn't work out it didn't work out because of the Europa League, because of the fixture scheduling. But we know then that we could mount a challenge, and we haven't mounted a challenge for a really long time since we won the league. I know the back end of Van Gaal's first season, we went on, I think it was a six game winning run. We beat sort of Liverpool, and we beat Tottenham, and we went on this amazing little run, and then a lot of people were talking, oh, you're going to title charge, and we lost 1-0 to Chelsea, and then we lost to Everton. But it would just be nice, to have that little bit of just something for us to cling to hold on to. But we're so inconsistent with our performances at the moment that I just don't see it happening. God, I'd love it to happen. I'd love it to happen. 21 titles. That would be brilliant, but I just don't see it happening myself. Now, what I thought I would do as a part of this journey is I would tell you about my first time watching United live at Old Trafford. Now, to get the most out of this story, the atmosphere, a sense of the time, a sense of the culture, a sense of the 11-year-old me who was into Britpop and all that good stuff. You're going to have to stop playing the Stone Roses, and you're going to have to put this album on. You're going to have to put the Oasis album, What's the Story, Morning Glory, and I'm going to give you just a few seconds just to do that, to find it, okay? The first time that I went to watch United at Old Trafford was August 1996 against Blackburn Rovers. Blackburn were one of United's nearest rivals then. They'd of course won the title back in '95 and won it back a year. We won it back a year later, overturned a 12-point deficit over Newcastle, who were of course again one of our biggest rivals. And I don't think people now, like younger United fans, could appreciate just how sort of big Blackburn Rovers were in terms of like rivals to United back at the time, and the same for Newcastle back at the time as well. I remember we were meant to go to a game against Coventry City earlier that year. My dad had managed to get me a ticket, and then my dad had an accident, broke his collarbone, so we couldn't go to the Coventry game. That game is renowned for what happened to Dave Boost. So we couldn't go to that game, but somehow my dad got me a ticket for the Blackburn game, and we both went to that. And back in the 90s, it's not like now where you can just go on the website and get a ticket when it goes on general sale, or use your membership and apply and get one. It was much more difficult then, and with me not being from Manchester, with me being from a different area, it was even more difficult. We didn't know loads of United fans, so my dad managed to get me and him like 2 tickets. He knew someone at work. His name was Kenny, and he got us the tickets. And I remember just being excited because I'd been supporting United up to a year at that point. So 25 years this year. Started supporting him in 95. And so obviously disappointed about the Coventry game, but got to go to the Blackburn game. Really excited to get a coach from Stoke Station. My mum made us she used to make us a packed lunch, which I don't think you're allowed to take your own food into the ground now. And of course, you're definitely not allowed to take your own drink, which is because obviously like for safety reasons. But you're not even allowed to take your own sandwiches in now, as far as I'm aware. I remember a few games back that I'd gone to a United game and took some I think I bought a sandwich from Tesco when I was told like you can't take it in because obviously they want you to buy, don't want you to like buy the food inside and all this stuff. But anyway, it was a nice memory. My mum used to make us like pack lunch, and you'd try and not eat it on the coach on the way to the ground. What I love about those, no, what I loved or love about those coach trips was just like all the United fans singing. You'd have guess the team as well. So it'd be like a scratch, and my dad would put like pound in for him, pound in for me, and you'd have to guess the team. And I just loved it, and it just felt like for me, I've never been able to get tickets for away games. Obviously, that could be a different video, a different topic for a different time, but never been able to get tickets for away games because you have to be a season ticket holder, or you have to know very specific people. And I'm not a season ticket holder. I've got a membership. I don't have a lot of money, so I go to games when I can. Try and get into double figures, which you'd love to go to every game, but put that aside. It was like big day out, and even though Stoke's only like an hour away, it's like an away day for me, and I loved it. I love those coach trips to the games, and and then on that first game, we'd park away from Old Trafford probably about 15 minutes, and then there was the walk to the ground. And on that first day, we found a pub. Obviously, all the people of the coach and all the United fans in there, and it was just great. I loved it, and it was just like, and you were just so excited to get to the game. But this was all part of the day, part of the routine, and obviously walked to the ground and just rammed, and you just see Old Trafford, and I was just blown away. I was just blown away because you've seen it on the telly, you've seen it in your books, seen it in the newspapers, but seeing it was just special, really special. And my dad had obviously got these tickets, and football was still in its infancy as far as being on the television. Sky Sports obviously had been on the telly for years, but on a more frequent basis. So Sky Sports are giving out these like Sky Sports hats because it was on Sky, and then you wait there and you go inside, and I remember just walking up the steps. See it now, it's like slow motion, when you walk up the steps, and then you see the greenery of the pitch, the red seats and the greenery of the pitch in front of you, and special, really special. I have to thank my dad for that, because without him I wouldn't have had this memory. And I don't think you can quite understand if you don't sort of follow a team or follow something specific like sport, like football. And United is obviously a special club, but that's just, I'm sure like everyone has had that moment when you first go to the ground of their team and you walk up the steps and you see the pitch and everything, and then finding the seat and the announcer, who, as far as I'm aware, it's the same stadium announcer. He's announcing upcoming games and things like that, and then he announces the teams, and everyone of course cheers at the sound of like Cantona and his players. And like, oh, Cantona, yeah, seen him on the telly. And then and then we're just waiting. You're just waiting for that whistle. You're just waiting for the whistle, and they've got the music as well as playing. Like, I know the City fans, but Oasis, sort of their music's playing over the system, and yeah, it's just like everything. It's like the perfect. It's just perfect. It was absolutely perfect. And then he does blow the whistle eventually after announcing the teams, and we're off. You start joining in all the songs and you start getting into it, and it's such a happy place. If I go back there and think about it, it's a happy place. And then we go 1-0 down, and oh, okay. Now, this is the third game of the season, third league game of the season. First game of the season, we've beaten Wimbledon 3-0. David Beckham with that special goal from the halfway line. And then we've come from 2-0 down against Everton in the midweek game, because you used to have game at the weekend, game midweek, then a game at the weekend. Now it's like you have a game, then there's like a break for a week, then the next game. But you used to have those midweek games, which I just loved, and they were all on the same night as well. It's very different now. It's a very different landscape, the way the fixtures are. But United 1-0 down, and you're like, God, it could lose here. Blackburn, not a bad team. Not a bad team here, Blackburn. And you're just getting taken, swept away with all the songs and everything. Who are Cantona, all this stuff. And then we equalise. Eventually, we equalise. Jordi Cruyff, his second goal in a week. Scored against Everton. Now he's scored here. 1-1. I'm thinking, yeah, right, let's calm this down now. Let's calm this down. Calm this down. But it's a very even game as far as I can remember. 25 years ago, but as far as I can remember, it's a very even game. And eventually Blackburn scored again. And it's 2-1 now. What is this? It's 2-1. What a game. What a first game to go to. And then eventually United are trailing 2-1, and eventually they make a change. And they bring on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. No one could pronounce his name. Some people still can't now. And I remember people around me asking who it was. No one could pronounce his name. No one knew who this person was. And then it happens. He has a shot, saved, on the rebound, scores. Immediate impact. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has scored on his debut for United. He's equalised, and it's my first game at United, my first visit to Old Trafford. And from then on out, it's a pretty even game, and it finishes 2-2. And that's where Ollie became my favourite player. And he scored some pretty special goals for United down the years. But, yeah, special day. And I remember us having to then you have to leave and you have to find your way back to the coach, and and then obviously like falling asleep on the coach and waking up and finding out we hadn't won. Neither of us had guessed the team, and then we get back, and Mum comes and picks us up from the station, and they have a chat, and we drive home. I think about the game, and that's that. And that's that was my first visit to Old Trafford, the first time I'd seen them play like live, and still got the ticket, still got the programme, and from then on I've been going ever since, and I don't think that's ever going to change. Well, I know it's never going to change. So yeah, so it finished Manchester United 2, Blackburn 2, and we go on. The next week we beat Nottingham Forest. We have some downs in that season. We lose to Newcastle 5-0, we lose to Southampton 6-3, we lose at home to Chelsea 2-1, we squander a 2-0 lead against West Ham. But we persevere, chip away, get back in the mix, and we go on and win the league that season. And that's the story of my first visit to watch United at Old Trafford. So we are now on the last leg of our walk to Old Trafford, and for the final part of our journey I'm going to need you to play the following album. It should come up on your screen. You should be seeing Shine 7, which is an indie rock Britpop compilation album from 1996. Now, when I was growing up, I was into Oasis and Blur and Pulp and all those kind of bands. But this album introduced me to all this other music, Skunk and Anansie, the Lightning Seeds, and all these other bands like the Manic Street Preachers. And I actually got this album at Christmas in 1996, and I remember playing it to death on my hi-fi player, which I got that Christmas. And as far as I can remember, it was one of those where you could have 3 CDs in there at once, which meant that you could just play all your favourite albums back to back without having to change it. I actually sold the hi-fi player at a car boot sale about 10 years ago, and even though we have access to more music than ever before now, I've regretted it ever since. So, final thoughts on this game today. Well, the lineup that I think he's going to go with is De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw, Pogba, Fred, Fernandes, Greenwood, Martial, and Rashford. The question is, how do we approach this game? Now, Ollie knows what's at stake, not just in terms of points, but in terms of bragging rights. It's a huge game. He's played in these games. He knows what it means to the fans. He knows what it means to the club. But if we go into this game in the way that we went into the Chelsea game, the Leipzig game, the Manchester City game, you might come out of that. If you look at the City game, you might come out of it and go, well, that was a solid defensive performance. Yeah, but they weren't really testing us. And Leeds will test us. And then you look at the game against Chelsea, they probably should have had a penalty. Actually, they should have had a penalty. Maguire, definitely a foul. How he doesn't give that as a penalty. Look, I'll take a point. But we were dreadful that day. Leipzig, we don't need to talk about that anymore. But then we've seen what we can do going forward. So it's going to be interesting to see how Ollie approaches this game. He knows it's at stake. He knows that we can get... Look, I've said I don't think we're going to win the title, but it'd be nice to be in the conversation. So win today. We go 5 points behind Liverpool. Got that game in hand. You've still got to win your other games, before we get to that game in hand. But I don't know. It's just going to be interesting. It's going to be a big test. And Leeds won't come here to defend. They won't come here to sit back and nick a point. They'll come here to win. So I take this game very seriously. Not that Ollie doesn't, but I would just like to know. I can't wait for the game. We are now approaching Old Trafford. Unfortunately, we can't be inside the ground, but this is what the journey would have been like. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If you would like to see me do any more journeys around Manchester or other areas, then let me know. Leave your suggestion in the comments section. Leave us a subscription, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all soon.